Ellen McCauley, we're talking about resentment. And I'm not going to call of you. Anyone in the room ever felt resentment about anything ever? Okay. Not really. No, they all have. The thing with dealing with it is we need to express our feelings. And a good thing is, Bob and I are wonderful sounding boards to each other. So if something happens at work, I tell him, he tells me, and it's very good. But when we have a fight between each other, he really has no one to tell, because the guys at work, they never talk nicely about most people. So they're just not anybody. So, but I can't tell anyone if Bob does something I don't like, because everyone always sticks up for Bob. My mother'd be like, don't be mad at Bob, he's so wonderful. Everyone thinks he's wonderful, so who can I tell if I'm mad at Bob? But the thing is, we do need to pray about it, we need to express our feelings, and here's where we have trouble. We need to get on the train and move on. Move on. And you know, I don't know if you're like me, but I'll say, like Bob left, like he had the oven, and I should be grateful that he cooks. Okay, I know it, I'm grateful. But he left the oven on for 24 hours. And I noticed, because I walked by it and that heat came off, so I'm like, I'm not going to say a word. Bob is so wonderful, and he made a little mistake. I'll just turn it off. I'm not going to mention it. I'm not going to say a word. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to bring it up. It's no big deal. The day goes by, the day goes by. I pull into the driveway. He comes down the stairs. You left the oven on for 24 hours. Anyone else ever do that? I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. We almost are better off saying something. Hey, honey, I noticed you left the oven on, and I turned it off, but you know, we're going to have to both keep our eye on that. How hard is that to say? We don't usually say it. We usually scream, you left the oven on. Also, other people that were holding resentment. One young girl at work told me that she goes home and cries because this one boss is so mean to her. And I said to her, really? Because I bet you that boss has never gone home and cried about you. And I am so good at giving advice to other people. Ever notice how good we are at that? We are so good at that. We're like, man, I'm like Ann Landers, I'm that good. But giving advice to ourselves, forget it, we kind of stink. And then I have and then that really helped that friend. She thinks about it all the time. But then I have another friend that whenever she's talking, I have so much resentment against, this is her, against my mother. I do everything for my mother. And I'm like, well, let's brainstorm some ideas on maybe how, you know, we can do something a little differently. She goes, nothing will work. And I'm like, well, what about this? Won't work. What about that? Won't work. What about this? Won't work. And what I need to realize is that sometimes people don't want us to solve their problems. What do they want, everyone? They just want us to listen. And then I got a little bit better by going, oh my gosh, whoa, really? Oh, huh, woo, oh. Sometimes you don't have to say words because they don't really want you to talk. And the last thing they want you to do is to go, let me tell you what happened to me, because they don't care about what happened to you. So I've gotten really good at this, woo, oh, especially when I'm on the phone. Oh, woo, but make sure you're paying attention, because sometimes if you, when you should be going, Also, those deep, bubbling resentments are that's what you do when you start throwing up things that happened 20 years ago. You can't have those deep, bubbling ones. You've got to talk it out. I love therapy. I said to Bob, why don't we just have this little chat? We can pretend we're at a counselor. We talk about our dreams, our goals. It was very therapeutic. The thing is, sometimes you have to sit with an emotion. And I've gotten better at this. If you want to take it, write a very nasty text, wait. Wait. Wait till the next day. Also, texts are easy to misconstrue. Like if someone says, you know, I'll give you a call tomorrow, you know, I'm really sick. And then you say, well, why don't you call me when you're much better? And you mean, I don't want you to worry about calling me. Call me when you're much better. And the other person can read it like, I don't want to talk to you at all if you can't talk to me right now. Call me when you're much better. Even though that's not what you meant at all. Ever get a text and you're like, what are they saying to me? And they don't mean anything by it at all. Also, be careful voice texting. You better read it before you hit send, because I have had some terrible swear words in a voice text that I never said. So I'm like, oh my gosh, so be careful about that. You are not avoiding conflict by speaking your truth. If you say to someone, you know, Ellen, when you said about walking a mile, you hurt my feelings, here's Ellen McCauley's reaction. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I would never hurt your feelings. That is not what I would ever do. I love you. I love everyone to pray it up. Thank you for calling that to my attention. And those are my words exactly. But what if I said, put your big girl panties on? People are going to say a lot worse than that to you. You think that's bad? I'll tell you a few things that you'll wish I didn't say. No. But guess what? Sometimes people say that. They can put your big girl panties on. My panties are big enough. I don't have to worry about it. I love this. Resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Right? We're sitting there going, oh, I'm so mad, I'm so mad, I'm so mad, I'm so mad. And they're like, Ellen who? I don't even know who that is. And another thing is perceived resentment. When you're in Wegmans and you say, oh, there's Judy. Hey, Judy, hi. Hi, it's Ellen, hi. And she looks up and she runs down the other aisle. And you're like, why is Judy ignoring me? What did I do? Was she mad at me? Did I do something? Did she have bad stuff in her cart she didn't want me to see? What? And you paint all these scenarios. Then you go up to Judy the next day, hopefully, and you say, hey, Judy, I saw you in Wegmans. And they say, oh my gosh, I had my eyes dilated at the eye doctor. I went to pick up milk. I couldn't see a thing. Instead, you're painting all these scenarios. Worse yet, what if you never confronted her and decided never to speak to her again because she ignored you in Wegmans and you didn't give her that benefit of the doubt? So that's what we need to do. We need to talk it out. And then releasing that resentment, sometimes just taking a walk or talking to someone else about it. And you know, sometimes you talk to your priest about it. Like we had a lot of trouble once, and we have 4 children, and I was talking to Father Angelicio about it, and he said, you know, 3 out of 4 is not bad. And I thought that was hysterical. And we laughed and talked and laughed and talked. Sometimes we think the present moment, and I remember once I went to counseling, and the counselor said, you know, when my son made the National Honor Society, I was a wonderful mother, wonderful. When he got caught shoplifting at Walmart, I was a terrible mother. And that's why I have so much compassion for parents of children who do things that are against the law or wrong or whatever. You do the best you can. And sometimes they're going to zig or zag or whatever, and you can't mea culpa, worst mother in the world. You have to say, Lord, I put it into your hands. Also, you have to realize that a lot of anger and resentment is misdirected at someone else, but you're really mad and upset at yourself. Do you ever get mad at me where I said, ooh, you gained 3 pounds, and you say, oh, I really tried hard, and I look at your log and I said, ooh, I see French toast and pizza and hot dogs, and you go back to your seat and you go, I'm quitting this stupid group. How dare she look at my log in that cursory moment. So you pretend you're mad at me instead of yourself for gaining those 3 pounds. How many times were you mad at your husband because he was the only person in the room? And you couldn't be mad at yourself, and you figured he wasn't going to divorce you after 35 years, so why not pick a fight with him, right? Ever happen? Unless you got one of those husbands that are like, oh, honey, I love you. I know you had a bad day. Go ahead, take it out on me. And I'm like, where's the fun in that? You're supposed to fight with me. So the thing is, be careful who you're mad at. Be careful who you're really angry with. And then I love this one story she tells, that she went on this date with this guy, and at the end of the date, the guy says, hey, can I give you a kiss goodnight? And she really didn't want to. She didn't want to give him a kiss goodnight. And she didn't know how to say no or anything, so she's like, okay. So he gives her a kiss goodnight, and then she goes in the house, and she's so mad at him. How dare he? How dare he? But he asked her, and she said yes. But she couldn't speak her own truth. She couldn't say, no, I'm not really ready for that, but I had a good time. Well, she tells this whole story about all this resentment, and then she ended up marrying him, and they've been happy together for years. So I just think that's kind of a funny story. So be careful who you're mad at. Look at yourself. Stopping right there, Bobby.